Hello, Fearless Gamers, and welcome to another podcast here on Fearless Games. I'm Matt the Vet, and today I'm joined by...
Dan the Wildcard.
And again, that's it. The others haven't been joining us for a while. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's a simulation. It does that.
Yeah, you're right. We did assimilate them last week.
Yeah.
So how you doing?
Pretty good. How you doing?
Pretty good. I've got a couple of GW things here. I'm going to try and make sure that this podcast doesn't turn into just a giant another GW talk, because we've been doing that a lot. But I do have some information for all you Fearless Gamers who probably saw our Facebook page or have been hearing. A lot of the specialist game models have been disappearing off their websites.
Yep.
A good chunk of the Necrons are gone. A lot of the Chaos Space Marines are listed as unavailable, and a bunch of the Eldar Corsair ships are gone, and I believe a couple of Epic things have disappeared as well. Let's see, let's take a look. And when people were... I got, well, those stupid. And according to some, a lot of people have been asking Games Workshop in regards to this. And Games Workshop was told them that they are no longer carrying the items. So we here at Fearless Games decided to take it upon ourselves to ask them for a statement about this. And the U.S. customer service came back with us with, "Thank you for writing to us. A number of miniatures from the Specialist Game Selection have recently been removed from our website, while others have had the Add to Cart feature removed. Some of these items have changed to an obsolete status, and yet others are showing restock orders. I have not been informed of any major changes to our website or miniature range, so we are operating under the assumption that we can continue," they forgot this word, "to sell items that are still available in our U.S. warehouse."
That's a pretty fair statement. When with this happening, my assumption is this. First off, specialist game ranges. Specialist gamers is just that. It's a specialist range for a niche market. And if it's not doing the best in comparison to, let's say, keeping it alive, then most companies have gotten rid of them a long time ago. I think, personally, and I have no idea how it works in the inner workings of what they do to make miniatures for this, but most of them are pewter.
Yep.
And with most molds, they have a lifespan until they go bad. And I'm guessing that some of the ones that they pulled, that maybe are going to be discontinued or rendered obsolete, as they said, or etc. My theory is maybe those molds are going bad because, some of them may still be the original mold, potentially. So my thought is, if it's going bad, why invest in making a new mold if you're only selling, let's just say, I'm throwing a fake number out there, 1,000 a year. If that. So that's my assumption. It's unfortunate because Epic had a lot of cool stand-in models. BFG was a cool game. It's probably one of the better space combat games out there, in my opinion.
In my opinion, aside from Blood Bowl, it's the one that's standing the test of time the most out of all the specialist games.
Yes, Blood Bowl. It's funny. Blood Bowl's popular, but it's like I feel it's almost underground because it's like I never see it ever. Yep.
I never see it, but it's the one, usually if people talk about specialist games, they usually talk about Blood Bowl, Battlefleet Gothic, and occasionally Necromunda.
What's also interesting is Epic, in all fairness, is another underground one, but if you look at forums, for not just any standard forum, but like, for example, there's a Horus Heresy forum out there that's pretty big, and there's a couple other forums that there are people solely dedicated to Epic. Epic actually has a pretty big following.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And that's kind of interesting to see if what happens. I'm curious to see if GW will flat out just drop specialist lines and not do anything, or I'm curious if they're going to go the route of Space Hulk and Dreadfleet, get rid of it, and then do a limited run of, let's say, Battlefleet Gothic. stuff, a limited run of like an epic style thing.
One thing, speaking of epic, interesting stuff, there's a new theory going out about the Eldar Codex.
Oh, yeah?
Now, this isn't a rumor or anything. This is a theory in regards to a rumor. Just want to clarify that. So this isn't definite. This isn't anything. This is just a couple of people thinking, hey, how about this? Now, recently, we have heard rumor that the Eldar are going to be getting a giant model that's going to be on par with the Riptide. Okay? Well, interesting enough is a new rumor has popped up that one of the variants of this item is a quadruped. So a lot of people are now thinking that this kit might be an Eldar Knight, because one of the variants of the Eldar Knight was called the Stallion, which was basically a Wraith Lord Centaur.
Yeah, basically.
So that's the new theory right now, is that the old Arborcast Knights are going to get a remold.
Maybe. Now, Eldar Knights aren't quite like Imperial Knights. It's a little different. But
yeah.
For anybody who doesn't know, they're not quite like mini Titans. They're like
they're like super
Dreads.
dreads.
Yeah, they're like a big Red Thor, like the Orc Death Dread, the big Death Dread is kind of like that for Eldar.
I think somebody said that someone did a description of them and their abilities, like they were as powerful as like an Orc vehicle, but not as powerful as the Imperial equivalent.
Yeah, it's
like they couldn't handle Warhound Titans. That's a definite.
Yeah, and it's weird because, you know, in fan-made, the people do happen to own some old Arborcast models, they made fan-made rolls and they made them super heavy just to account for their big nature. And in all honesty, if super heavy was a thing from Games Workshop to begin with, the Land Raider would be considered super heavy, because it really basically is.
Okay, here it goes. They described it as, back then we got this entire range of baby titans called knights. These were roughly on par with things like Stampas and were no match for scout titans, but they were much more powerful than, say, a Land Raider or a Dreadnought. Basically, they were in Baneblade range of things when they were an epic.
Yeah, that's it, which means could it be like an Imperial Knight? Maybe, but they tend to be a bit, from what I've seen, comparisons for sketches between the two, they fall in the Eldar way. They're slenderer, and I think a bit shorter than even an Imperial Knight. It's basically like I call it a super heavy Wraith Lord.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Eldar stuff is either smaller than its equivalent or larger than its equivalent in the Imperial range. They're never the same height.
No, but they're pretty cool, and I kind of would be cool to see a quadruped Wraith Lord thingy on the battlefield for Eldar.
It'd be different.
It would be different. It'd be kind of cool to see, but also at the same time, I hope that it's not an Eldar Knight, only because, you know, I would just like to see variation. I like to see something different than just, oh, it's the Eldar version of an Imperial Knight, or vice versa. You know what I mean? Like Titans are out there. Everything's got a Titan except Tau, and I'll just stay that way.
Yeah.
Or the equivalent, like a super gargantuan creature thingy. But I'm hoping that maybe we don't just have like knights and then, you know, have it just be, oh, it's knights, and here's our Imperial Knights for super heavies, you know, like the data sheet. It's like, it feels, and also I think it would make them a bit gimped if they put them in as just like a 16mm base thing.
Yeah, and those people are probably going to be disappointed because they're not as epic as they used to be in Epic.
Exactly. And, but this is just a thought that I've had for a while when Apocalypse first came out, was Baneblade is super heavy, obviously. Super heavy vehicles, Titans, and whatnot. There are certain things in basic 40K that, by right, should have a super heavy designation. Like I said earlier, the Land Raider. The Land Raider is the answer that Space Marines have for everything. It's like, the Titan, shoot with a Land Raider. That's what Baneblade, shoot with and a Land Raider has power to it. I mean, that Land Raider can drop a Baneblade.
Yeah, they're no pushover.
No. So, and also in the idea of size. mean, it's not made big, but it should be a lot. Like some people have said, the Land Raider should be almost at least as long, and like a little bit. It should almost be as long as a Beyblade, a little bit wider than what it is now. Just to account for it transports Terminators.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about it, when you build the kit, the interior space for it is the same size as the Rhino interior space. So this doesn't make any sense. But it's supposed to transport the big guys to fit the Rhino.
An interesting thing that I was wondering what your thought is someone brought up, I was talking to a local hobby shop about a theory that they've gotten with Games Workshop in general.
Yeah.
You heard about the whole Tau issue, where they did make enough models to meet demand right off the launch day, so they sold out really quickly.
Yeah.
Well, apparently this also happened with the High Elves, and with a lot of the stuff that they're discontinuing, one game shop has a theory that they deliberately underproduced the last two armies to make their short-term profit margins look higher so they can attempt to sell the company.
I don't know. I mean, companies get bought and sold all the time. I don't know if it was deliberate. Let's have lower numbers so we can, agitate our customer base. I think if anything, because this mostly was the fine cast stuff and some of the big kits, right?
In every release, there's usually 3 plastic kits. And
I mean, what was shorthanded? Was everything shorthanded?
Pretty much everything.
My thought is this. I think for some models, legitimately, they didn't expect it to be as popular of a sale. I'll put the Pathfinder as an example. Yeah, it's a now plastic kit for a Pathfinder, but it's not like it's Pathfinder or Fire Warrior kit where it would be popular to buy just to buy. But I think the fact that it had those drones in it, made it pretty popular. And especially considering the Pathfinder, when you look at how it was versus how it is now, it's basically the same. It's not like they became like OMG broken status. They're basically the same. So I think that might have been a legitimate, honestly, didn't think they were going to sell that much. And I think some of the other stuff, like the Riptide and Finecast, I think it might have been a cost issue of just, they were hesitant to make a kit that's so plastic heavy like the Riptide, a lot of it, and go, that hardly sold. If the hardly sells now, we're going to sell later.
Yeah, well, that's like what he was talking about. He's like, they know, he's thinking, how, it's possible that they probably went, if we produce 2,000 units, we're probably only going to sell 1,000. So let's just make 1,000. That way, when we look at our reports, we've got a 100% sell rate on top of it. Granted, this has only happened twice. I will start possibly believing this if the same situation happens again with the Eldar. Because then there'll be 3 armies in a row that they didn't make enough models for. I hesitant to believe it now. If the Eldar have it, I might raise my curiosity about it. But really, I think the test would be the Eldar and then an army after that, or the Eldar and another fantasy. Because, maybe the fantasy batch being so soon after Tau, maybe it was just like, I don't know, we messed up, right? But if it's like consistent pattern, then it would be good. If it ends up being true and Games Workshop is trying to sell the company, let's hope if they are successful, we get a company that knows people spend more when items cost less, and our Land Raiders will go back down to $50.
Yes, but here's the deal with pricing in life for this gamers. If you look at it, and I'm going to use education as an example, price never goes back down. School only gets more expensive. And nobody likes spending more than, more than $50 to the Land Raider. I mean, it's atrocious. Same thing for the Terminator kits. But I hope that if there is a sale or a radical restructuring of GW, maybe like internal, I don't know how it works, but somebody sells or like whatever happens, they understand that things sell more when people have readily available access to it. Yeah, the price of the Land Raider is high, but if you're constantly selling out and constantly people have to wait a month to get stuff, they're going to be annoyed and possibly not buy anything anymore. But if you got a readily available supply, people buy, and when people can just get it and know they can get it and have no fear of not being able to get it, they tend to get it.
Yep. Which is also could be a better thing in the long run. We may see a reduction. We may see an increase in direct sale price capping. We may see more models on the sales floor. It's probably it, and we may see a price stabilization for a while, just as a token of good faith, if someone were to purchase this company.
Yeah, but we also have to understand, and this is a big company with shareholders.
Yep.
It's not like, oh no, they're looking to sell because it's sinking like a stone. It's just, it's business, and that's what happens.
Yep.
The specialist game range, in my honest opinion, I'm surprised it stayed around as long as it did with constant supply stuff. Like I honestly expected the specialist game range to be done with a couple of years ago.
Yeah. For just a perspective for everybody, the last thing Battlefleet Gothic got was 13 years ago.
Well,
like that was the last time they gave them a new model.
Well, they kept the Mechanicum, like
that was the 2000.
They got like a Mechanicum buff at like 2004.
I could have sworn the Mechanicum came out in 2000, because that's when I read a magazine article which was published going, hey, the Mechanicum's here.
I think in 2004, I think they made like the Mechanicus Arc, for example.
No, the what?
I think in 2004, like they made like some of the models. Like I think they made the cruisers in 2004 or something like that, because I think originally it was the battleship.
Yeah. Okay.
I could be wrong, but I think I remember them going, here's a cruiser, like when I was in college.
So let's just say, so it's been roughly almost 10 years since they've done anything with the game. We're surprised it lasted this long.
And that's Battlefield Gothic. Now think of Epic.
Yep.
Epic hasn't
had anything in months, in years. I mean, when I started playing this in high school, was it high school? Yeah, in high school, you could still see advertisements for Battlefleet Gothic and White Dwarf. Someone had to tell me Epic existed for me to find out it existed.
Like, Epic hasn't gotten things really for a while. And,
yeah.
Like, Epic was... I got into the hobby, and when GW had, like, their previous incarnation of the website, not the one now, but the one before, but not the one where it was red.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the one between those two. They were showing... That's back when I had a lot of... Those two websites were a lot better than it is now. It's not just in storefront. They actually had articles. But anyway, that aside...
And forums.
Yeah. They actually, they had a thing of how to, like, showing an armor showcase with one of the people, Iron Hands, and how they converted it. And one of the things they showed was a Terminator, and it said, and it had this really cool looking, like, Space Marine, like, stonework on the leg armor. Because he took an Epic Space Marine and cut it, you know, filed it flat in the back to fit on the leg. That's how. That's when I was like, "What is that?" And that's when I saw it with Epic walking around. Because they mentioned Epic not as a game to play, but as an accessory to help kit bash.
Yep.
So, I mean, to be honest, they used to Inquisitor. I mean, that
dropped as fast as it came out.
Yeah, I mean, they actually made, not when I first got into it, but I do know that some of the models were kind of newish, as in, like, some of them. I couldn't even tell you which one, but that's Texas Armageddon, no, not really. I mean, Mordenheim and Necromunda haven't gotten anything either. I don't think. And
no.
Does anybody remember War Master?
No.
War Master, I don't even know what I don't think that's the equivalent of pick for Warhammer.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, so I'm surprised that those models still exist to buy. Like, I would love to see the sales figures in general of, like, not just direct sales plus what companies order. You know, like some companies will order from GW. I'm curious. I'm just curious to see the sales. Maybe BFG would be on the higher end a little bit for the specialist range, maybe Blood Bowl, but I don't even know. But I'm curious to see, like, Necromunda sales, if they even had any.
I heard it was very popular.
Yeah, well, it was, but that was like a decade ago or more.
Speaking of money and such, here's an interesting news article that just came out. Sony president, Kazuo Hirai, I'm probably butchering his name completely, and 39 executives from Sony are giving up their bonuses this year to save estimated 1 billion yen, which translates to about $10 million.
Interesting.
Which people are then thinking, let's see, while that number may not be especially significant in the grand scheme of multi-billion-dollar companies, the message is clear. If the company isn't making money, we don't deserve bonuses. 7 Sony executives gave up their bonuses last year, and Satoru Iwata volunteered, his equivalent at basically the CEO of Nintendo voluntarily cut his salary in half in 2011 in a similar gesture, but the move is much more large scale this time around. Which seems interesting. I'm wondering if they're trying to basically buffer the bank accounts until the PS4 comes out, just to make sure it doesn't have the same replication as PS3 had when it first launched.
Maybe. I mean, it could be that. It could be some legitimate reasons, to it for the company as a whole. I think also, and I guess it's a jaded point of view, but it's great publicity stunts. And it's like, listen.
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes people take notice, and then people go, oh, they care. And it might, legitimately care, but at the same time, it also might make people sway to, I'll buy their product, because,
Another interesting thing is, what was it? There was something else that I was reading up on. Apparently, there's a class action lawsuit against Sega and Gearbox over Aliens Colonial Marines.
That's just sad.
A person who purchased the game is suing them because he feels he was conned into buying the game.
That's what?
He feels that because of that, essentially they threw, as we mentioned in another post, developers have claimed that the game footage that we saw at E3 and all these test demos was the Wii U's version of the game. And playtesters confirm, what you saw was on the Wii U's version. It has a lot better graphics and a lot better AI and all this other jazz. Well, this person claims that that they knew what the game actually looked like, and they knew exactly what the game was going to be, and knew it wasn't going to sell, so they posted all this video footage to make the game look better and tricked players into purchasing the game.
I kind of see where he's getting at. I do. Or he or she, whatever. I kind of see it. I see what's going on with that. But I feel like this is just a stretch. I feel this is like the coffee burned me because it was hot and your cup didn't say so.
Yeah, I agree. It's like, wait a minute, so you're blaming them for trying to sell you a game and it working?
Well, I could see if you said you conned me into buying this game and I bought this game and it was Barney's Adventures, like it was a completely different game. But if it's the same story, the same gameplay, I don't really think that's a con. I think it's just, it would be like I purchased a PC game because it looked awesome, but my PC couldn't run it at that high setting, so you conned me,
Yeah.
That's how I feel it personally. Granted, you can't with consoles, but that's how I feel. I feel it's along the lines of your cup is saying that the coffee's hot.
And to be honest, okay, anyone who anyone who feels conned that they bought this game, were conned into buying it, tell me, how many of the Alien games have actually been so good to justify that this game was going to be awesome? I'm sorry. It was an Aliens game. That should have told you right there and then that there was probably going to be a mass disappointment. And what happened?
They got disappointed. Yeah, but I just feel like
this is why I didn't go out and buy it. I waited for reviews because I was a smart person.
I just think this is another one of those bogus. I feel it's kind of bogus, to be personally honest. Because, like I said, if it's they showed you stuff they do it all the time with multi-console games. They'll show you the best looking one.
Yeah.
They're not going to show you the other one.
Not for nothing, all of Bethesda's game demos are they build a computer with the most advanced, the latest tech in it, deliberately to go to E3 with it to show you the game, because they want you to see its maximum potential.
Exactly. So, I
can understand everyone being upset because yes, it was massively disappointing on a grander scale. There were scenes that were in the Wii U game that are not in the PlayStation and Xbox game that people were looking forward to seeing. And graphically, it is dumbed down quite a bit. It kind of looks like GoldenEye in some scenes in the Xbox and PlayStation version. But I don't think that's enough for a lawsuit. But then, that's just me.
Yeah, that's me personally. Like, that's kind of going, I bought a game, I don't like it, I'm going to sue you. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what this is coming to. And it's kind of like, really? Like, it seems a little bit far-fetched to me.
Oh, I agree. And it looks like also, apparently, Microsoft is going to have the same issue Wii U did.
What's that?
There's talk that a lot of the Microsoft games, that the big title blockbusters that they're promising up are behind schedule.
Yeah,
in terms of getting finished.
Yeah, I mean, be careful, you might get sued.
Well, so far, no one sued Nintendo over it, because Nintendo did eventually go, about a month later they went, we're sorry, but these games need more time. At least they didn't rush them out and just said, they're awesome.
Yeah, that's true. That's why I like Blizzard so much. Blizzard will delay their games, just like, we're delaying it, deal with it type of deal. Until it comes out.
It's Blizzard. If you're not expecting a delay, then you don't know Blizzard.
Exactly. You're new to buying their products. Because there will be delays. I mean, that's just how it goes. Oh.
Yeah.
So, I forget exactly. There's a little bit more than 2 weeks remaining for the Robotech Kickstarter for the war game, the RPG.
Okay. How they doing so far?
They're doing good. There's a lot of stretch goals that they've met. They've added more stretch goals for a number of backers, and they're just shy of 200 for reaching 2,800 backers. So I encourage anybody to be interested in it and want to at least get one model. I believe if you spend $15, you get a special Kickstarter and rewards for a convention that they went to, but only model of Brick Hunter's Veritech. So you get to have a little Veritech, and it's only $15 to do that. But I encourage people to do that only because at 2,800, this is a weird stretch goal. It should have been this way. All of the game cards will be laminated at that point. So they're not laminated cards, which is a kind of a fail. But considering you have to erase on them all the time.
Well, with the magical world of staples and such, getting laminated isn't too hard.
No, it's not, but I feel like if you're offering a game where these cards are going to be written on a lot, and it's a card and not like a full sheet of paper, have a laminate.
Yeah, so, I can agree with that.
So, I mean, it's just shy of 20 people. I think they'll make it, especially because a lot of these backing things in the last couple of days, especially 24 hours, is when you get a surge of backers. But there's a lot of cool stuff. For example, if anybody's a fan of Robotech, there is the Brick Hunter Veritech. There's a Roy Fokker Veritech. And now they have Chiron's Command Cloud, whatever it's called, which is a trying beauty. It's not a special character, but I guess you want to call it that way, character in the show. And it's Chiron. And so he's got a model now. And they're really coming along with it. So what's also cool, you can go to the Kickstarter, you do a little Google search for the Kickstarter link, and you can download, not official, not that it's not official, it's not 100% complete, but you can download the very basic rule structure for the anatomy of a turn and see how it works. And they show you 2 sample armies.
Huh.
Or
interesting.
Seems like the typical army size is around 300 points. And the Zentradi will typically, when you do it in a standard way of rolling it, not a specialist list, the Zentradi will double the number of models on the board in comparison to the Robotech, Veritech fighter stuff from the human side.
Huh.
The humans are always outnumbered in theory here, which is how it is in the show. But and it's cool. You can download the rules and see how the turn goes. And they're not finalized. They said there will be some changes from time when it comes to release. But at least it's cool to give you a feel to have the gameplay video, and now you can download that and read it and go, you know what? I like this. I want to try it. No. And then there you go.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Now, I could be wrong. I've only seen bits and pieces of the Macross universe and all that. But is it true, like, that in some battles they fight with rock music?
Yes, but not really. Alright. Excuse me. In the Macross saga, actually when it comes up, in the Robotech, the first one, the Macross saga, the one people call Macross, there's a Zentradi, which are gigantic humanoid-looking things that are the size of a Veritech fighter, like 40 feet tall, 50 feet tall.
Okay.
They are basically were created and bred for war only. They only know how to take orders, only know how to fight. They don't know anything else. They keep the genders separate, basically, and they'll serve with each other, but there's no relationships, there's no nothing. It's just fighting, and then you basically, I guess, cloned in a pod somewhere. But
okay.
So they know nothing except how to fight. So it's basically representing culture shock. When I heard this music that's pleasant to the ears, they get confused. They're like, what is this? Well, it legitimately confuses them. You know, like how in Star Wars: The Old Republic, the battle meditation made everybody better?
Okay.
It's like that, but like a debuff. Like this music made all of them try to like, what is going on? Like confused.
Okay.
So it wasn't like they were killing them with it. But that and public displays of affection confused them, made them uncomfortable to the point where you could destabilize their battle plan and fight them a little bit easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's interesting.
Yeah.
And speaking of this kind of stuff, have you seen Iron Man 3 yet?
I have.
What'd you think?
Well, firstly, the theater I saw it at.
Keep in mind, I have not seen it yet. I'll be seeing it next week.
I'm not going to say, I never say anything to give anything away with a movie.
Yeah.
But first I want to talk about the movie theater I saw it at, because I saw it here in PA. And the Regal Downingtown 16 theater is gigantic. And it's not like the luxury theater like how it was at Cinema 10 or whatever it was. You got one with like you can order your food and stuff, like your nice plush leather seats.
Okay.
Not like that. It's like a regular theater, but it's got very nice, high quality seats. It's almost like in between a luxury theater and a regular theater.
All right.
And it's just a regular theater, though. No bar, no restaurant thing, just regular food. Very nice, very big theater, huge screens. Like the screens were like really big.
Okay.
And it's a very well run, very nice looking theater. I was surprised. I was expecting like Long Island theaters. I got a nice theater. So that's number one. Number two, I enjoyed Iron Man 3. I encourage anybody who's a fan of Iron Man to see it. I'm not going to say anything about villain and power and, suits. You've seen the trailer. But other than that, I enjoyed it. I went in there to see Iron Man's suit do stuff, and I did. So, I enjoyed it, and I think it's a fun movie.
Now, here's an interesting question I'm going to bring up to you, and I'm going to bring this up, I'm going to encourage the other fearless gamers here to give their 2 cents about this. Movie sequels. Now, movie sequels tend to always get ranked as the worst. You know, worse than the last one, worse than the one previous to that. Do you think, like, how do you think about this? Do you think movie sequels are just in generally worse than the originals, or is it more a stigma of this film was this epic, so I'm going to expect this film to be just as epic, and then they just don't see it for the qualities it has on its own?
I think there are films out there that get sequels. The sequel is just not as good. Not comparing it to like the epicness, just in general, because I feel some sequels are just there, especially back, I would say 5 years ago or so, when it was just like the era of the sequels, where everything got a sequel. It was like, what? This got a sequel? Why? Like everything was just getting like sequels and other sequels just constantly going on. I feel they're not as good. I feel some of them do it just for what they are, like Saw. I don't think they're very good.
Oh, no.
But they constantly come out.
Yep.
Now, I honestly think there are sequels that are good, but the problem is, and so they're talking about Iron Man, I'm not going to talk about 3, I'll talk about 2 of it. Some people felt Iron Man 2 wasn't good in comparison to Iron Man 1. It was still a good movie, but they thought Iron Man 1 was a bit better. Now, personal preference aside, when Iron Man 1 first came out, I remember I was working in a movie theater before it came out. And I remember in production shots, people like, you know, the manager showing, oh, look at this, it looks really cool. You know, it's an actual suit, it's not CGI. When we figured that all out and everything, people were kind of concerned about Iron Man 1. Then it came out and it was great, you know?
Yeah.
They did it right. So I think part of it is, wow, I expected this to be so bad, it's actually very good, amazing. And now because we have that, we expected Iron Man 2, that we had higher goals in mind for Iron Man 2. I'm not saying Iron Man 2 is bad. I personally thought it was great.
Oh, yeah. Actually, Elena thought it was a lot better than 1.
Yeah, I think they took upon 1 because here's my theory with that. Origin story movies can be great, but I always feel that if there's a sequel after and it's done well, like Iron Man 2 was done well, that they're better because you got the origin. The origin, I feel, is like busy work, you know?
Yeah. It's stuff you have to get out.
Yeah, I feel like you have to go through this. It's going to eat up a big chunk of time. It can be interesting and cool, but it's still like, all right, this next movie will have like a really cool like action or villain or something like that, whatever it may be. And I thought 2 was great, but when 2 came out, people went, well, Iron Man 1 was amazing. And now they had something to compare it to. Where Iron Man 1, there was nothing to compare it to. And then you have the converse, when you had the Fantastic Four sequel. And let's be honest, the first movie was and then we saw Silver Surfer and Galactus.
We're not going to talk about Rise of the Silver Surfer.
There you go. Exactly my point. But when you compare it, that one, you can compare it to the original and go, wow, this is even worse. I think sequels get a bit of a hard rap because sequels not only are expected to be done well in the production, but now they have to live up to daddy's and mommy's expectation of the first movie, you know?
For me, the only thing I'm going to say about the Fantastic Four franchise at all is, say what you want, I thought the guy who did Doctor Doom was amazing. It was not him that ruined the character, it was the direction, but I thought he was the only one trying, and he was the only character that I found likable. And it's not because I am a huge Doctor Doom fan. Like, there were a bunch of parts in the movie where I was like, no, that's not Doctor Doom at all, do it again. But I think he was the only one, if they recasted it, if Marvel gets the rights back to Fantastic Four and they do a remake, I will not be upset if they recast him as Doctor Doom. So,
yeah, true.
With that, I feel that sometimes an issue with sequels is primarily, one, if they keep the same writer, I think they tend to do a little bit better if they're keeping the same characters.
Yes.
Like, a good example is Aliens Colonial Marine. Not the Aliens. They did push a big risk because Ripley was in it again, but she was one of 6 she was one original character, and there was like 6 new characters.
Right.
So with that, it's new characters. We don't have an established personality on them, so we have nothing to judge by from the last film.
Right.
So I feel like when a movie is a sequel and it has the same cast of characters, it tends to have a little bit of an issue because, one, the writer is going, oh, this is what they'll do, and people are like, I don't agree with that's how they would act. Like, as you brought up in Iron Man 2, one person I talked to felt he did not believe that's how Tony Stark would have acted if he knew he was dying. And it's like, no, that wasn't Tony Stark. It's like, well, no, that's your version of Tony Stark. This is this person's version of Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of those issues is when you see the first beginning film, like you said, it's a clean slate. You don't know anything about the character. You don't know what their character flaws or character strengths are, so you can accept what you're seeing on screen. Then when the sequel comes out, you have your own perceived notion of how you think they should act. And if the sequel doesn't cater to that perception, you're automatically disappointed by it.
Right. So, I mean, I agree with that. And I also think, furthermore, certain movies which are, I don't want to say original content because what's original anymore, right? But they're not like a movie that is not based upon a well-established book franchise, or a movie that's not based upon a well-established superhero or comic book thing. I think those that get sequels tend to be a bit more viewed more favorably because this is all new stuff for us, you know?
Yeah.
But when you have, for example, Iron Man, that's the example. We have years upon years of comic-related knowledge base to draw on with him. Even if, like, I don't follow it, but I could easily just look him up, and I'll have plenty of stuff to research him on. So, I think when it comes to, like, superhero movies, the danger is you can do them great, but everybody is going to have a slightly different, preconceived notion of Tony Stark, or Steve Rhodes, or anybody else. And, that you just have to kind of put to bed a little bit, and you have to understand comic book movies are not directly related to the comics themselves. Like, there will be liberties, there will be changes in character. You may not like it, and you'll hear people talk about it. I mean, some people, like you said with Tony Stark, felt that Tony Stark was acting a little weird into. But, I think they did a good job. I think they did a great job like that. Now, without saying anything with 3, I know what parts people may or may not, depending upon their view of the series so far, may criticize in 3. Not because it's a bad movie, just because you can always criticize something. And I kind of know what that might be. But I think the issue here is this is a superhero that's had cartoons, had comics, been in video games. People know the character. Like, people know him pretty well. And with that being said, the first movie was great because we just didn't know what to expect before a movie of Iron Man. And now we know, be it Iron Man or anything else, now that you know what to expect, and you know the character, you have certain ideas for the second movie. And I think that's also a thing.
I think another issue also in some factor in terms of story in the movies, when people have issues with story, is time. Like a good example of just using Iron Man 2 again, the arc reactor is killing him. We don't have a set established time how long it's been since Iron Man 1. So it kind of seems like, wait a minute, all of a sudden it's killing him? Wouldn't he have known that a lot earlier than now, type of thing? So sometimes I think some of the story elements, because we don't have a set established time, okay, this is 10 years later, 20 years later, sometimes story elements may seem a little weird because they're thinking it's literally happening the next day after the last film ended.
Yeah, exactly. And that is an issue. And I think also some of it is the time factor and the issue of, the movie itself being, let's say a 2-hour block whatever,
Yeah.
As opposed to comic books, which even if it only takes place over a 24-hour time period in a comic, it's stretched out over multiple issues. So this feels like
they've got as many. They can write as long as they want to explain everything that they want.
Yeah, I mean, comics and books have the issue or like the advantage of we can take as long as we want to explain it, and it can be as many issues as we need, and we can flesh out certain things that you also have time to flesh out.
Mm.
And also, I think another issue is it depends on how the movie is done. Now, the current trend, and I think it's a good trend, I think they do a good job with it, is to take these superhero characters, whether it's, Iron Man, Spider-Man, Batman, whatever it is, and to put them in a more realistic approach to what they are and the setting that they're in. Instead of having magic flying around everywhere, they try to, they even with like Tony Stark's tech, it's subdued, in comparison to what we know he can do. Like, that, I think they go into that realm, but I think also there's a conflict of interest there with people who are fans of the comics go, but wait, he's so much more powerful, or wait, this guy should have done this. There's certain sacrifices that the movie makes, and certain things that they change to make it fit in more into that universe. It's not the over-the-top comic book universe.
Joss Whedon made an interesting statement because he was at the premiere of Iron Man 3, and they were one person was talking about, hey, it's like this is before Iron Man 3 came out. This is with trailers. People are like, yeah, it looks like Tony Stark's getting, a lot more darker and a lot more, and a lot less comical in these films. Is that going to be a trend in your film as well? And he was like, well, you see, the thing is different writers have different approaches to all these characters. And yes, we do have to keep them all relatively the same because they're all in the same universe now. But that's not going to stop me from writing what I want to write with the character. Yes, he will have that dark, brooding side, but he's a character that can have those comical moments even when he's getting dark and brooding. So it's one of these things. It's also how well, when you're switching writers with these movies, how well they go, this is the character I want, less than this is the character the story is established as well.
That's true.
Because you can have in one film a movie where a character is really, fairly intelligent, average, stuff like that. Or like a good example is in The Big Bang Theory. There's a character named Penny. Penny is an average intelligent person, She's not super smart, but she's not dumb as a brick. But lately, they've been giving her 1 to 2 kind of dumb moments that are like 5-year-old intelligent level. And that's when the character starts losing its interest because she's acting out of character that has been established for 7 seasons.
Right.
And that's when it starts appearing to be stupid. It's like, oh, now you're just making her say a funny line in hopes that you think it's funny and hope no one notices it's out of character.
Yeah. I think a good example of this is the Spider-Man reboot. That movie, have you seen
I've yet to see that one.
It works. It blows the first 3 out of the water. Like, it does a very good job. Now,
okay.
Forget the fact different cast of characters, whatever, casting different characters, whether you like it.
Well, it's a reboot.
Yeah, but forgetting that aside, and the fact that maybe you hate not you, but you, proverbially you, hate a certain actor.
Yeah.
That's another thing. You may hate an actor, but they can still do a good job.
Yep. Like good example is Michael Cera in Scott Pilgrim. He was great, and I think he's kind of bland.
Right. So, that aside, the Spider-Man reboot was a very good, example of when you do a compare and contrast, what they changed. I don't know that and the other ones. That doesn't really matter, but it's a good example of showing, hey, we can draw more upon the comic book character that is Peter Parker and Spider-Man. We can take certain liberties and do certain things and make it be awesome. Like we can just completely reboot this, and I think reboots are a decent example of showing how a movie can not so much fix itself, it's not in the same continuity, but to show you what a movie is capable of for a certain character. And I think the Spider-Man reboot was a very good job of retelling the Spider-Man story, both in movie form and just giving it to the people who haven't read the comics. Because they do a very good job with that. They're filming a sequel. I look forward to it, and I think this will also be a case of the first movie was, I think, pretty good. I wonder if people are going to now take that as a prejudging thing for the second one, which they will. And at the same notion, even though it was a reboot, people took the first Spider-Man trilogy as their basis for critiquing this movie.
Yeah.
Going, well, the first three were terrible. I'm not expecting much out of this. Or, let's see how it's different. So,
yeah.
If anybody hasn't seen that, I encourage you to watch it at some point. I think they did a great job with Peter Parker, the character, as well as Spider-Man, the character, and everything else. So, definitely worth it.
And speaking of this kind of stuff, in all these different Marvel movies and Superman movies and such, and all these other comic book movies coming out, what movie would you like to see happen, and with which character would you like to see in it the most?
Wow. Like which character in terms of superhero or actor?
Superhero. So, like, let's just example, I want to see a reboot of Fantastic Four, and I want Fing Fang Foom to be the villain.
Gotcha, okay. Well, firstly, I forgot.
Or Reed Richards, the hero, whoever.
Yeah, I forgot that Superman was coming out. That's how much of a lack of interest I have in Superman. I forgot he's had a movie coming.
I'll see it because of the rumor I heard about it, but I'm not looking. I'm gonna do a Tuesday screening of that because I don't want to pay a lot of money for that film.
Yeah. Well, that's tough because a lot of stuff I've gotten. I mean, I would like to see. More Rhodes, like his own spin-off movie, but it won't happen. I know that. But that's something that I would like. But I would like I would like to see a Ghost Rider film, another one. I thought the second one was fantastic. The first one, whatever.
It was enjoyable.
I watched it, I enjoyed it. I think the second one did great with the character. I want to see another Ghost Rider film, but not a sequel, completely separate, almost like a reboot, if you will. But I want Nicolas Cage as Ghost Rider.
Okay.
Ghost Rider. But I want to see him take on. I like to see Marvel get him back. I don't know who owns the rights to Ghost Rider.
I think it's either Lionsgate or Sony. I don't know.
But I like to be a Marvel fan personally because I like to see Ghost Rider taking on a villain that's more generic to let him eventually maybe make a cameo in Avengers or something, Not take on a specific Ghost Rider demon-y thing or angel-y thing, but take on something that's really dangerous but could easily have a cameo of some other Marvel character in it or easily make him attachable to the Avengers.
So essentially you want to see him fight a villain that he most likely has fought but has also been an Avenger villain.
Yes, I want to see him fight just like this is demon or angel business. I want to see something more. I want to see something more inclusive in the universe because the Ghost Rider movies, while I enjoyed both of them, the second one was even better. It was too exclusive. Like there was no. It was basically like Ghost Rider and there's no other heroes around. You know what I mean? It's like this was just him. There is no Spider-Man, no Avengers, no nothing.
Okay.
And that's whatever. I like to see him just be in a more Marvel setting.
Okay. For me personally, this is just really weird and random, but I think it would be really cool. But no. Elena's trying to guess what I'm going to say, and she's way off. I would say what I'd like to see is a Superman movie with Amazo. Primarily because Amazo is one of those villains where you could throw in extra characters. In fact, if you want, make it a JLA or a Justice League movie. But I want the villain to be Amazo because Amazo was awesome in the fact for anyone who doesn't know who Amazo is basically this super advanced robot that has the ability, somehow, don't ask me how, to copy powers of super beings. So he's as fast as the Flash, he's as strong as Superman, he's got the eye beams, he can fly. I believe he is tactically as smart as Batman. And the more you fight him, the more powerful he gets because the more he learns.
That's cool. Yeah, that would be a cool villain. I personally like to see Brainiac.
Brainiac, I've heard rumor, I don't know if it's true, but I've heard that in the new Superman movie, they establish Brainiac as being existent and build him to being the next villain.
I would like to see that, just because I feel it's, that, and even, like you said, Amazo is also a new character, just because I'm sick and tired of Luthor or Evil Capone.
Zod or Luthor. It's always Zod or Luthor. Or Luthor, sorry.
Yeah.
Even Parasite, if you, I know Parasite's not the greatest of Superman villains, but if you alter the character enough to make him believably a challenge for Superman, then you can see it happening. Don't make him just this average Joe dude. Make him someone who's, tactically smart, can establish powers from other beings, and don't have it where it kills him if he doesn't eat type of thing. Make it more like, an unending hunger that he just can't satisfy. He, just throw in somebody that's not Luthor, seriously.
Yeah, Luthor is odd. It's just like...
Even Metallo. I would accept Metallo. But again, the Clown has brought up an interesting point with a lot of Superman villains, is it's very hard to do Superman where the villain is threatening, and we'll just use Amazo as an example, is, okay, not Amazo, Metallo, because that was one he brought up once. It's okay, Metallo's gonna be fighting him, but he's a robot. And he's okay, yeah, you can make him as strong and tough as Superman, so Superman can't just rip him to pieces with a thought. But then by the end of the film, when Superman beats him, you're gonna have that, well, why didn't he just do that in the beginning type of moment with a character like that. And I think that's one of the issues with Superman is that there's just no villain out there doesn't really have that flaw to them where when Superman beats them, it's a way that he could have done right in the beginning, and you have that question of why did he just do that to begin with, then make the movie shorter.
Yeah, I can see that. That's part of the issue when you have a super powerful being as the hero. It's that, why didn't he just punch him really hard the first time?
Yeah.
But it could also just be a wearing out thing, or maybe, finally through using, he's also kind of smart. Using his brain to figure out a weakness to penetrate, let's say, the computer's matrix or something like that, or a force field thing, and then now it's just disabled, now he can do it. But, to see Brainiac with that, and in the DC universe, I'd like to see a Flash movie.
The Flash would be cool.
But I think Flash can be done in such a way where it's cool and not cheesy, and it's not just he's super speed, because he also can pack a
Now, Reverse Flash. Is he faster than Flash?
I don't know.
Because I'm wait a minute, every time I hear it's Reverse Flash, I'm doesn't that mean he's super slow?
I don't know much about Reverse Flash, and honestly, I don't know too much about Flash's particular villain, but I just think...
he's the only person I know, him and Gorilla Grodd. He's the only other villain I know of that's a Flash villain, is Gorilla Grodd, who's just a very smart gorilla.
Yes, I just think in the realm of how they're doing the DC movies especially, a Flash movie would be very cool. I like that. And also another Marvel thing I'd like to see is a good Punisher movie. Not the Punisher, but the Punisher with Travolta in it as the villain.
Okay, yeah, I like that one.
I like that one a lot. I think they did a very good job. But I like to see another Punisher movie, not like the one that came out, Warhead or whatever came out that was kind of
Warzone.
Yeah, that was weird. But
I hear though it was better.
I heard the action was better. And over the top of it. But I like to see Punisher again in another more inclusive role in a Marvel setting. To have him possibly make a cameo.
To be honest, I think Punisher works better as a side character in another movie than having his own film.
He does, but at the very least, I'd like to have him have another origin movie. Because I think He has great origin movie status.
Yeah, he's got like a very Batman-esque movie status. One thing that I think would be a cool Marvel character to bring in is Morbius.
Morbius?
The vampire
he will be
from Spider-Man. Then you could bring in Blade.
As long as he doesn't sparkle.
But it could be a great, cool Spider-Man team-up. Spider-Man, do the Morbius, I think that's his name. Morbius,
Morbius, like that.
Introduction, and then have Blade come in and have it be a tag team duo, because then you have that conflict of, he's a vampire, I have to kill him. No, I have to save him, he's human.
Yeah.
Type of setup.
That would be cool.
I think that would be cool.
I would love a Carnage movie.
Carnage, I think...
It can't happen because we have to rated R.
Yeah, I think the issue with Carnage, though, is it's one of those characters where, if you don't do it exactly right, it's going to come out bad, like Venom.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. And Carnage is so over the top ridiculous that it would just seem cheesy if done wrong. And the only way to give him the ability to do him right is either make it R or make everything he does off screen and just have noises, because he's so bloody.
Apparently, Elena's chiming in saying she'd want to see a Darkstalkers movie.
Okay.
Have you ever played that game?
No.
That's the one with Morgan, the girl with the bat wings on her head.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw the anime. It was kind of weird. I'll have to say, primarily because I didn't know much about one of the villains, which is apparently like this possessed demon armor.
Yeah.
And they killed him by doing nice things in front of him.
That's a little weird.
He literally, this little girl and this girl and this little girl were falling, and the main character of the show took his sword and stabbed it into the ground and is trying to pull their piece of landmass back.
Yeah.
And he's putting him at risk because he's now exposed to this evil demon thing to kill him, and the demon thing can't understand the concept of him sacrificing his life to save these two people while his life is in danger, and that hurts him, and so he disappears in a puff of logic.
Yay, puff of logic. Now, I want to cause a little debate here, potentially.
Okay.
DC, Justice League, everybody's got crazy superpowers, and everybody's except Batman. Batman's got prep time, whatever everybody does.
Okay, yeah. I have a question about that after this.
Yeah, but my thing is, Batman has a superpower. And Batman's superpower is a combination of being perfect and stinking rich. Now, money isn't a power, but money buys the ability to do things. And being perfect, I feel, is the power. Because let's look at Batman's credentials, Bruce Wayne especially, because Bruce Wayne is Batman. It's not like Tony Stark, where without the suit, he may be able to kind of brawl a little bit, but he'll get beaten. Batman, yeah. Bruce Wayne is always Batman. Now, he has genius-level intellect. He has eidetic memory, whatever it is. He's got perfect, detective training. Perfect visual, and smell sense and hearing. He's perfectly trained in multiple forms of martial arts. He's at peak level human capability for strength, endurance, logic, and everything else being tough. Now you couple that with the fact that part of being the perfect human being would be to be independently wealthy, and that lets him basically do whatever he wants. And that's why he has all his gadgets and gizmos. So. Yeah. I always found it hard to believe that Batman's just, a person, because nobody has the perfect credentials. I think it's not really a power, but I think when you look at it, it's basically having a superpower, being perfect, in terms of, not so much perfect as a person. He does have his flaws and his dark side, but
which is getting a little too dark in my taste.
Yeah, but he does have, perfect physical training, perfect mental training, perfect detective skills. I mean, it's a little ridiculous. I feel he's a bit, in some cases, especially when you read up his stat line and in the Arkham games, or you just look up his stuff. I feel a little bit ridiculous, even compared to Superman or Wonder Woman, because it's just Batman can do everything.
Yeah.
Give him enough time, and give him that stupid prep time thing. Aside from that, but give him the ability to think it through. Don't just blow his brains out with a gun, and he's going to beat you, is what people say. Now, your prep time thing, right? I went to a con, and there was a talk of Iron Man. There was a panel, Iron Man versus Batman.
Uh-huh.
And so many people were saying Batman would win that fight, and I was like, Iron Man would just blast him from orbit with his beams. I mean, Iron Man is not, even if Batman got the jump on him and used an EMP batarang, Iron Man's EMP shielded. I mean, I don't understand it. They were saying, and that's where prep time came up.
Going off of that first, I do agree with, I would say that, Batman is just, a normal dude, but I can understand the concept of saying that being at peak human capability, the best that a normal person can ever be is his superpower, is the fact that he's just so above the average human.
Yeah.
So I can see both sides of the argument with that. The one thing I've always argued is the prep time. Why is Batman the only one allowed prep time in these versus matches?
I don't understand it either.
So you mean to tell me, okay, let's just use, for example, Batman versus Iron Man. Batman wins with prep time. So you mean to tell me, while Batman's sitting there drawing up plans, getting out all these documents, maps, doing all the studying, Iron Man's just sitting there waiting in the ring going, dude, gee, I hope he just comes in and I just blast him to death. No! Iron Man's going to be prepping when he's prepping.
Now, granted, Iron Man will be prepping and also carrying parties and getting drunk, but...
Yes, but still, why is it that in this prep time, the other character's is just sitting there on his thumbs doing nothing? Why is it that Batman's the only one allowed to prep in prep time?
I don't know either. And the weirdest thing is they say he would get the jump on Iron Man, and first off, let's forget the fact that he had senses and everything.
Yeah.
Even if he got the jump and hit him as hard as he could with anything, he can't. I mean, Thor, when he's in the Avengers movie, didn't just rip the armor off. He slowly crunched the armor down, and I guarantee you, Batman cannot generate the force that Thor can.
Yeah.
He took Thor's Mjolnir to the chest. I mean,
Now, for all you Batman fans out there, yes, Batman is awesome. Yes, Batman can do a lot of cool stuff. But I'm sorry, prep time is not a valid excuse.
No,
if Batman gets prep time, his opponent gets prep time as well. They're not just sitting there waiting in the ring going, I wonder what he's doing right now. They're prepping for their battle. The only argument for prep time is like those interstellar being traveling. Okay, the thing is coming to Earth, Batman's prepping while it's coming to Earth. It doesn't even know Batman is waiting there for him to fight it, so they have no excuse for prep time build up. That's the only time that works. But if you're sitting there doing a grudge match between two characters, the other character's going to prep while Batman's prep timing.
Yeah, and the thing that, now if they said Tony Stark versus Bruce Wayne's going to keep the snot out of Tony Stark. Because Bruce Wayne is Batman, Tony Stark is not. I mean, he needs the suit.
You take off the suit, Tony Stark's a dude. You take off the suit for Batman, Bruce Wayne is Batman still.
But their argument was Batman's a better preemptive planner. He's much more meticulous at planning. And then people counted, okay, maybe Tony Stark isn't as meticulous in his plans on the way, but he is almost unbeatable for on-the-fly thinking. So even if Batman had some crazy thing with his awesome armored suit that Batman has, came in and Falcon punched Iron Man, and Iron Man was really surprised by this, he would have a counter already thought up in his head to win. Yeah. And they're saying, well, Batman can do it too. And it comes down to Iron Man's suit beats Batman. It's as simple as that.
It also comes down to, this is the biggest problem with any of these who versus who's. Obviously, no matter what argument, let's just say, for example, if I'm a huge Batman fan and you're a huge Iron Man fan and we're having this debate right on, no matter what, we're never going to convince the other because we're just too diehard of fans of our character to agree with the other person.
Oh, I completely agree. I mean, and the thing is, I don't even know why Iron Man versus Batman was a panel. I really don't. I think it's because of...
Yeah, I think it's because they count Tony Stark as being the equivalent of Batman in the Marvel Universe.
I guess, in a way.
Even though I think Black Panther is closer.
Yeah. But also, I mean, then they had the comics of Batman versus Predator, from the Predator. And, it's Batman, so of course they're going to have him win at the end.
Oh, yeah.
But, if you think about it logistically, Predator cloaks, Batman dies. End of story. You can't do that.
Well,
the Predator took a shotgun blast to the chest.
Well, argumentatively, to be fair, you know, Predator may consider Batman enough of a challenge where he would do the equal ground ritual fighting with them.
Right, but Batman doesn't. Batman gets to jump on him, and I have one of the comics, and Batman just jumps him.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that would happen either, because if Predator is examining Batman, seeing how, you know, he's an honorable
how
fight,
he works.
Predator is going to trap him and then reveal himself and then go, it's on. I mean,
yeah.
And I'm sorry. I mean, whether or not you hate the second Predator movie, Predator got his arm cut off and then shot with a shotgun at least once, not twice, point blank.
Yeah.
Coming. Batman can't do that.
No.
It's always weird when they have those. I mean, it's cool, it makes for good writing, but it's just like, honestly, I always root for Predator every time because I root for the common sense. Now, there was a Batman vs Superman panel, and it wasn't really a panel, and I made the case, and of course, Superman would win. I mean, there was like a thing with the suit and whatnot that Batman did kind of win, but I made the case only because I wanted to make a DC Logic case that Batman won because everybody has kryptonite. You find it in your cereal box as a reward. I mean, this rare mineral is everywhere in the DC universe. I mean, doesn't like the Joker have a statue with it?
Well, in the Batman Superman cartoon, Joker steals a jade dragon that was made out of kryptonite.
Right. I mean, like, everybody's got kryptonite. I know Batman carries it on him because he always has, like, accounted to all of his friends in case they go crazy.
This is the only problem, though, with kryptonite. It works different depending on the writers. If Superman is not the main character, it poisons and kills him. If Superman's the main character, it slightly weakens him. So you can never really tell what's kryptonite going to do. You have to establish which version of kryptonite you're going with when you go into these Batman versus Superman things.
And that's my problem with Superman. I mean, I'm just not that interested in Superman because, honestly, I think his costume is kind of lame. I don't like blue and red together like that. That's one. I mean, I'll be vain with my superheroes. If they look cool, I'm going to be more interested in them. But, and the Men of Steel movie with the suit, they look a lot better. But anyway, Superman, the reason why I don't like him is not really Superman's fault. It's how he's written half the time. And... But that equates to that Superman. Because what's he weak to? Kryptonite and magic.
Yep.
And in key plot moments, he's immune to them.
Yep.
And it's like, wait, what? I mean, in key plot moments, he has no weakness. And whether it's a cartoon, the movie, or the comics, you'll have him when he's the main character and he's on the floor practically dying because kryptonite has either stabbed him or in his vicinity, like all up in his grill. And out of nowhere, he just does the uppercut of doom and wins. And it's like, what?
I think the best use of Superman in any way, in keeping him fairly balanced throughout, was the Superman cartoon. Because they established what kryptonite does. They established that he can feel pain, he just can muscle through it, and they just would... Like, a good example is Livewire. She can hurt him, but, you know, she most likely won't kill him, but she can disable him for quite some time.
Yeah.
And they established these abilities, and they're consistent throughout the show.
Yeah, they did a good job. I could watch those and not get irritated because they did a good job like that. But it's just like, overall, and especially with the movies, it's like, you know, it's almost like there's kryptonite. You know, but it's camouflage.
Kryptonite dagger, I'm dying, giant island of kryptonite, let me chuck that into space. Just put that out there.
The whole island of kryptonite thing, come on. And also, wasn't it like he was on the island and then, like, it was revealed it was kryptonite and then he fell down?
Yeah, I love that. He's like, oh wait, kryptonite, that's right. Oh.
It's like, I feel kind of like this, like, you know, bad guy on the kryptonite island. Superman lands. Superman's walking forward, all calm, cool, and like that, no problem. And this is the bad guy going, dude, this is a kryptonite island. Oh, really? Oh, damn.
Yep, it's pretty much how it seems to work. You have to. It's like a cartoon. He's only affected by it if you tell him.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's just, I mean, I'm all for a very powerful character, but when they have weaknesses, they gotta stay consistent. And he's not the only character, but he's the most. I think he's the most naive, but I think that character is the most guilty of it.
Yes.
I mean, I'll be fair. And watching Batman cartoons or Batman comics or anything like that, there are cases when he's fighting where it's like he should have just got his neck broken, but he didn't.
Yep.
But, you know, it happens. It's called plot armor to an extent. But Superman is the most guilty of it, and it's so annoying because he can be a cool character, especially because he has a flaw of loss of control. When he gets angry and enrages, he'll punch a dude through a fully populated building. He's done.
Have you seen Superman vs. the Elite?
No.
That's probably the best prime example of Superman losing his self.
Because I think that's a great thing. Superman's all about protecting. Superman's all about, you know, kind of fighting fair. He'll let you hit him. You know, he's all about, he kind of does it so you'll stop and realize he's impervious. But when he loses his cool, he'll destroy parts of the city.
Yeah.
And I think that's a cool flaw that can work well, especially like a Justice League movie. It's like Batman going, dude, it had people in it. Something like that. But it's just, it's never brought up when it happens. It's like, oh, it's okay. Superman did it. He's such a riot. And it's like, really, guys?
No, I think we've been going on long enough for today.
Yeah.
So everybody, what in the Marvel universe, in the movies here, what character would you like to see turned into a movie? And what's your thought on Batman Prep Time, I believe is the other question we have?
I guess, yeah. What's your thoughts on Batman as a hero? Would you consider his perfectness a power? And to an extent, like, not literally he has power, but
yeah. Would you consider him being the way that he is, in a sense, his superpower?
I mean, I understand he's a normal dude. Like, he's not, like, super tough. I mean, he is. He can pain, but he can still go down like a normal person. For example. But I just think when you have all those perfectnesses,
would you consider him superhuman?
Would you consider him basically, or at least perfect human?
Yep.
Not psychologically. Not that.
Yeah.
He's not. He's got issues.
So that is all for right now, and all you children of Ishta, beware, for the Illuminator is on his way. And with that, thank you all for watching. Until next time, Fearless Gamers, this is Matt the Vet.
James the Wildcard.
Take care.
Peace.